Hey everybody, welcome to Thursday Night Live. Here we are. Thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel. Here we talk about everything South Dakota and everything Rapid City. And today we're going to be the first in my series of South Dakota versus the Upper Midwest. And first on the list is Minnesota. So here is Darin from Minnesota. He's an agent over there. And I'll let him introduce himself and tell us, Darin, more about yourself and your real estate career over there and where you're
Yeah.
from.
How's it going? Yeah, thanks, Tristan. I'm Darin Bjerknes, and I'm from Minnesota, and I've been born and raised here for 41 years. And right now I live in eastern Minnesota in a suburb called Woodbury. And I've been in real estate for 15, 16 years now, and got a wife and two kids and a dog. So that's a little bit of a background on me, Tristan.
Nice, thank you very much. So just a little bit of history for my viewers and for everybody. I know Minnesota quite well, actually. So I was born in Tyler, Minnesota.
Okay.
That's in the southwest corner, Marshall,
Yep.
just across the river from basically just across the road border from Brookings.
Sure.
And so I I was there until I was 14. And of course, I remember the sixth grade field trips to Valley Fair,
Yeah.
and all the trips to the cities, and then. My wife's family also is from the area. They're actually from Hudson, Wisconsin, which is just across the river
from where I am right now. Yep.
And she's got relatives in Oakdale and Woodbury and Hudson. So we were going to the cities for 24 years, I think, every year for Thanksgiving. So until all of our kids got older, then they started having kids, and so it was like this is too much, and we quit that. But so yeah, so it'll be kind of fun to see what you have to say about me old state of Minnesota.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to get into it and talk a little bit of pros and cons and a little bit of differences of what makes South Dakota different from Minnesota. So
yeah. So let's get right into kind of talking about the geography, maybe a little more about different areas in Minnesota, and how all that works out.
Perfect.
So what do you got for me, Darin? Go for it.
Oh yeah. So Minnesota essentially, if you look Minneapolis, St. Paul, that's considered the twin cities, if you will. Okay, so that's the major metropolitan area. If you look at the northwest, up by the Red River there, that's right by where that R is on the Red River. That's where I grew up, and in a town called Thief River Falls. And the other side of the state, by Lake Superior, is one of my favorite areas. That's kind of Duluth. You can see Duluth, and then north of there, right along the
North Shore.
North Shore, just beautiful. And then you've got the Boundary Waters area, which is basically pristine air. The Boundary Waters, a little bit kind of right under Voyageurs National Park, I would say, under the NP area.
Okay,
and that's basically untouched wilderness, and it's no motorboats for the most part, and you can go canoeing, and it's if you want to go real camping, you can get out and really see the stars because there's no light pollution once you get up there. So.
Yeah. And then there are a lot of where I'm from, kind of this area over here, and this is farm country. We're talking lots of agricultural down in this area for sure. And
plenty of that, and there's a lot of agriculture all throughout. I would say Minnesota, and in kind of prairie, a lot of prairie and flat, a lot of flat area. We do have, it does state that we're about 1/3 of forest area, and probably a lot of that is probably that northeastern portion of
up in here
as well. So but
Sarah and I went to the North Shore. We stayed right here, I think about here, about Two Harbors area. And kind of drove up to Grand Marais and back. It was we went in October, and so it was getting colder but still kind of warm, so it was all foggy. So that was no fun.
And you missed the beautiful leaves, when the fall hits and we have when the leaves start turning. That's when it's really nice. End of September is the best time to go.
Yeah, we were about a week too late to get some of the really nice leaves. There's still quite a bit of good stuff there, but we missed a couple. So So South Dakota is basically a tale of two halves, really, right? Because we've got East River and we've got West River, and the Missouri River here, which I'm surprised it's not on here. That is right here. Just basically is the East versus West
A little bit of rivalry there, huh?
Yep, and then it really is kind of rivalry. I mean, there's shirts about which is better, East River versus West River. So, and it's almost, some people have almost always said that it should be North Dakota and South Dakota. It should be East Dakota and West Dakota, because there's differences just along the way.
Make it even more confusing.
Over on the east side, very much more flat, very much more prairie, a lot more farms, a lot more cornfields.
More
as you go
style.
Yeah, more Minnesotan style. As you cross the river, then we get into more rugged country, more ranches, still some farming, but most of the farming is a little more hayfields, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then, of course, you've got the Black Hills, and that's the attraction on the west side of the state where I am at and where I'm happy to be at.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I used to live, right over here is where I used to live, so I was kind of used to the humidity and stuff, and we don't have quite the humidity over in our area, so that's it's been kind of nice to have. So, but really, I mean, it's which side do you want to be at? Sioux Falls is the other major city. Rapid City is the smaller. Actually, we're studying 5,000 people. Sioux Falls is like, I can't remember what it is right now. It's about three times. But just to kind of give you, how big is Minneapolis in population?
Let's see, Minneapolis and Minneapolis and St. Paul, I think it's right around the 500,000. I just had it pulled up. I'm from a town right now that's right around 80,000. And Minnesota as a whole, we have 5.7 million people as a state, but a good majority of those are in the metro area.
Yeah. So we've got 800,000 people in the entire state. So you can fit three
we almost
states.
Have that with the Twin Cities. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We can almost fit we can put three of our states into the Denver metropolitan area. That's kind of give you a feel of that.
But really, the majority of, besides the Twin Cities metro, was quite rural in open space and not as busy. We've got a couple bigger towns, but like Duluth is a little bit bigger, and in St. Cloud, I guess maybe a little bit. Moorhead. But other than that, it's smaller towns.
Yeah, definitely small town America. Growing up in Minnesota. Yeah.
My town, I grew up in 9,000. I grew up in a 9,000, 160 people in my high school graduating class. So not too big.
160. We had like 40.
Did you? Okay, yeah.
I mean, Tyler was 2,700 or something like that. Yeah, that's
okay.
That was really small. I mean, Brookings was a big town. Minneapolis was like this huge thing that we went to.
It is. Yep.
So let's talk a lot about here we are. We're in the north. People are always talking about the weather. I mean, if they see anything north and they think it's got to be cold, it's got to be snowy. In fact, how do you guys live up there? So talk a little bit about Minnesota weather.
Yeah, so Minnesota weather is it's quite unique, and the fact that we've got true 4 seasons, and with a fall, we've got winter, spring, fall, and summer. Of course, I kind of skipped in there, but so we kind of embrace all the seasons, or we try to. And winter is the one that people kind of don't like to talk about or be a part of, because I made a video on it, about Minnesota, and it's people. You will sometimes cry. It's that cold. Just one of those days. It was kind of today, not so cold, but windy. And then they always say, when you get that wind with the cold, now you have wind chill. And so, but you have to bundle up and just plan accordingly. And I'm a little crazier than most Minnesotans. I go winter camping, or have gone winter camping a few times. And that's up in the Boundary Water. So we hike in on a lake, and there's nobody around for miles. And you hike in, a few miles, and then you set your, teepee up, and you cut your wood, and it's you drill a hole in the ice, and go ice fishing a little bit too. And it's kind of like survival. But once you get the fire going in your teepee, it's you get about 80 degrees, so you can have some fun then. So
yeah, true wilderness experience for sure up there.
Yeah, you got to do it and just embrace it. But the summers are fantastic as well. A little bit of humidity sometimes, but those summer nights in Minnesota are fantastic. And my favorite is fall. I really like fall. It's kind of crisp, and it means football season's coming for me. And I'm a Vikings fan, as you probably could imagine. And
that's poor Vikings fans.
The spring is my least favorite. It's all wet and damp, and until everything dries out. But that's kind of in a nutshell our weather.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. So we've kind of got as for everything else, we've kind of got a tale of two stories as well, because the east side of the state will be usually considerably colder and snowier in the sense that when they get snow, it'll be gone. It'll be there majority of the year. I think this year might
Yes,
be a little more of an exception.
our states
But
too.
right, yeah. Once we but in the Black Hills, it was 60 degrees today. I mean,
Okay.
that we get these weird warming areas. So what happens is because we have the Black Hills, just on the west side of the Black Hills is basically what's called the banana belt. And so the weather kind of comes over, dumps on the Black Hills, and then there's a nice little path that it skips over us.
Okay.
So we'll have days of 20 degrees and snow, and then a week of 40 degrees, and then it go back and be down to cold again. Now, it gets cold. I mean, we have cold weather. It gets pretty cold. It gets when the wind blows, it
That's
can
right.
be 40 degrees outside. But that wind's blowing, it's like, yeah, it's not like t-shirt weather. But
No, yep.
and then our snow ends up being very at least was on this side of the state, ends up being very light, except until we get to spring, because we're kind of a drier climate.
Okay.
It's not as humid, and so we don't have that concrete snow you're shoveling. We're basically sweeping it away.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We
that
kind of have a mix every once in a while. You get lucky if you have that light snow where you can just easily use the shovel. But when we get dumped on and get over 5 inches, then you bring out the snow blower, and
yeah.
then you get 12 inches sometimes, and need a good snow blower if you're in Minnesota.
Yeah, 100%. But like you, we do get 4 seasons, so we do have not a pretty decent. Usually, the spring is kind of the point where it's either we're really ready to have a spring, but then we get dumped on, and it's like, come on, spring. But so sometimes the spring can take a while. June ends up being kind of a rainy month sometimes, and sometimes it really isn't until July we really get into some nice summer weather. We can take the boat out, and then August usually gets hot. Now last year was kind of weird because June we were having 100-degree temps, and that's just really unusual. I don't know if you guys experienced that too last year, but all of a sudden it was really hot in the beginning of the year.
Not quite, maybe 100, maybe it touched it, but not that hot typically in Minnesota. It gets, once it hits 90, that's plenty hot for us here in Minnesota, because then the humidity typically is up there too. It's just a little bit different heat. And one thing I forgot to mention, Tristan, was our lakes. We've got over 10,000 lakes, technically over about 14,000 bodies of water of 10 acres or more is kind of what they've also said. So we've got a lot of boating and laking and fishing and a lot of outdoor stuff. So people really like to take advantage in the summer and get out in the lakes, and in the winter they get on there and go snowmobiling and or ice fishing as well. So a couple things I missed there.
Yeah, no, we were 6 miles from Lake Benton, and that was our religion. Every weekend we were at the lake, and I remember having and we had a couple snowmobiles. I remember I must have been 6, 7, 8. Here this kid, and we're racing around slaloms around on the ice in Lake Benton and stuff like that on that snowmobile. So yeah, that's a lot of fun stuff with all the lakes and stuff. I do love a Minnesota lake. Our lakes out here are man-made, so they're reservoirs.
Sure, yes, I noticed that. I noticed that driving out there. I took my family out to South Dakota, and we did realize or recognize that there were more reservoirs instead of lakes, kind of more man-made look, it seemed. Yeah.
Right. Yep. There's one on the south side that's called Angostura that we like the best because it's a little bigger and it does have sand all the way around. But the other ones have rock all the way around except for like a sand beach that's made.
Okay.
So I do, and we seem to have a little more wind blowing through. So sometimes I miss those sitting on the dock on the Minnesota lakes when the evening's just calm and clear. But this is a good spot to answer Chris's question.
Yeah,
mosquitoes,
Minnesota, yes. But however, especially in the metro wide, not too bad actually, because I think they treat the area. So what they do is they go around to like the swampy little areas around the metro, and they treat them to kind of keep the mosquitoes at bay. But if you're talking up in the boundary waters or the northeastern portion of the state by Lake Superior, like I have in my video, I said if it's getting dark and you don't have any mosquito spray or lotion on, you're gonna get almost carried away by mosquitoes. So you have to be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a hit and miss thing for us. I remember one year we were walking in the evening and it seemed like we just got attacked by mosquitoes. But typically, because we're a drier climate, we don't have as much humidity. We don't have as many mosquitoes. There are a lot of nights when we can be out on the deck in the summer at 8 o'clock at night, and there's not a problem. But it just kind of depends on the year. Every year is a little different. And of course,
Absolutely.
we have years. 2019 we had a really wet year. This year shaping out to be not as wet because we have barely had a lot of snow. So we'll cycle them in and out, but that's kind of how things go there.
Yep.
All right, time to talk about money, cost of living. Give me a few ideas on how what's gas like out there. What are your staples?
So today was $3.34 a gallon for 87 fuel.
Yep.
Yeah. How about out there?
Yeah, we're right about there. We're still about 329, 330. It's really been fluctuating lately quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're hitting right about 330 right now.
And that's the typical gas station. If I go to Costco, for instance, I can get about 309.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So I typically go there, of course.
Of course. Yeah. We don't have a lot of, I know we've got Sam's Club gas, but they might have a little bit of discount, but their discounted gas is usually the 85. And then you either get 85 or 91. And so it doesn't really work. And then, but other than that, we don't have a lot of competition. I know in the cities I've seen it where, a lot of competition. You've got gas station corners wars going on.
Yeah. So yeah, we do. So that's that. Yeah. So 334. And of course it's been rising a little bit. It seems like it keeps going up. So, yep.
Yeah. What about, what does Minnesota do as far as taxes, sales tax, income tax?
Yeah, so income tax, it's a little goofy. We've got 4 different brackets, and so there are different rates. So there's 5.35, 7, 7.85, and then 9.85. Okay, percent. So it depends. So right around 37,000 as a joint would be that 5% range. Then it jumps to 147 is the 7, 261 again joint combined income 7.85, and the 985 is 261,000 as a joint income, and up would be that 9.8, almost 10% rate there.
Right. So. But then your sales taxes, you've got discounts on some things aren't taxed. Is that correct?
Yeah. So clothing, for example, you don't have tax on, which is nice. So that sometimes people would when I was always from northern Minnesota, they would come across and shop in Minnesota for not school shopping. So. But things that are taxed right around that 7.5, a little bit maybe up for sales tax on either things. Of course, liquor and stuff they boost that up a little bit more too.
Yeah. We've got so there's no state income tax here in South Dakota whatsoever.
That's a win for South Dakota.
Exactly. Ching. That's a huge thing. And that's the big reason why some people have moved to South Dakota. It's a very friendly business environment too, because there's no corporate income tax as well. Then when it comes to sales, but sales tax is pretty much anything. I mean, from services. I mean, my dad's a veterinarian, and his veterinary services are taxed. So everything under the sun is taxed with the sales tax.
Okay.
Which usually is a 4.5% statewide. And then every city has got their whatever their city is.
Right.
So like Rapid City is 6.5.
Yep.
Plus, like there's a tourist tax, of course. So if you're a motel or a restaurant, I think you get an extra 1% on top of that.
Yep.
And so there's some varies and mixes in that too. So, but they're going to get you one way or another.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You got to pay the taxes, I guess. And I think you had a couple other things. So a loaf of bread about $4.25, and gallon of milk's right around $4.29. So.
Yeah. I think we're a little bit. I mean, I think the bread's running around $3.50, and the milk's going to be about $3.50 as well. So a little bit less there, but not certainly not something going to save you a whole lot of money. I don't think every day. Yeah. What about property taxes? How do you guys work on the property tax scale?
Yeah, so it's a little bit, a little over 1% typically is what they typically figure on market value. So it's right around that. And of course, each community is maybe a little bit different, but it's for an average, I would say about 1% of the market value.
Yeah, that's pretty close to around here. We are looking at
a little bit over.
When I did a cost of living area for our area last year, My average was running 1.2 to 1.3%.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
taking a
similar.
bunch
Pretty
and
similar.
averaging, you know,
Yep,
not so.
pretty
It's
similar.
a lot higher than, I think both those we could say the same thing. And it's a lot higher than like your Oklahomas. I know they've got some pretty cheap taxes, property taxes. But when it comes to California, I've talked to some of those guys, and they're like, yeah, no, we'll keep our 1.2%. Thank you very much.
That's right. That's right. No, we're pretty close to that, I would say, Tristan. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only thing, what's interesting in Rapid City specifically, is that you look at your cost of living calculators and graphs across the internet. Our healthcare costs are higher than the national average. So that's kind of one thing that's a negative for our area. And I think the reason that is because we have got a big, everybody that's 200 miles away is coming to Rapid because there's nowhere else to go for the bigger services. And there's only one. I mean, there's no competition. So
we've got,
there's no
one thing that's really good about Minnesota is our healthcare system is fantastic. We've got some big knockers as far as we got the Mayo Clinic, people going from, worldwide sometimes to come to Mayo Clinic to get service. And, but a lot of healthcare options, especially in the Twin Cities Metro. And, the rural areas have a little bit less, but they're still closer. They got plenty of areas to go to healthcare as well. So.
Yeah. Yep. Just a quick comment to everybody watching too. Go ahead and if you have any questions for me or for Darin, go ahead and make sure you just throw a comment in there. I think if you're watching live on Facebook, you should be able to post your comment as well, and we should pop it up. So don't be afraid to ask us any questions.
Ask
we probably won't be talking too much political things, but anything else about the states, just let us know. All right, so let's talk. Since we are realtors, let's talk about housing. What's your 3-bed, 2-bath, kind of 2,000 square foot base kind of house? What are you looking at for that in your metro area?
Yeah, so again, it's a little bit depends on the areas and stuff, but my specific city, right around that 3.2. So it'd be 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-car garage is right around that 350. And the inventory is so low right now. I'm sure we'll get into inventory later too, but inventory, we're at about a half month of inventory. So really nothing, like the lowest I've ever seen in the 15, 16 years I've sold real estate. I don't think it's ever been this low. But the average single family home, or the median single family home, is $370. And that's about $191 a square foot. The new construction median price is right around that $450. And that's coming in about $210 a square foot.
Yeah, so that's getting kind of high, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually, I've got a client or someone that contacted me from YouTube, from California, and wants to have new construction home. And I was out, and really there's not much at all. And he wanted to stay within that 550 range, and everything's 6 and up for a 4-bedroom, what he's looking for, 2-story. And so the inventory is low, and the new construction people are pushing prices up, and it's supply and demand, I guess.
Yeah, we're not looking at too much more, too much different here in the sense that our 3-bed, 2-bath, and of course it depends, especially if you're looking at depending on what side of the city you're on, of course. But we're looking at $300,000 is going to getting you just into that 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot property. If you're on the east side of the city, you might get more closer to 275, but 300 is really kind of where things have been starting out anymore. We just sold one on the west side of town that was 1,300 square foot 1-car garage, and that was at 280. You don't get much for your money anymore. And new construction is about the same thing. We're getting maybe about $200 per square foot, and that's just starter level. That's just base level. You get into your custom, and we're looking at 300 plus, and then $50 per square foot to finish the basement and all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely rising, and I don't know that's going to go down anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, I think earlier this year, this past January, we either have 2 Januaries. We have a January where people like, okay, it's time to get back to work, off we go, or it's I'm just going to sit back and relax January. Well, this year was a sit back and relax January. I mean, we had some weeks where, we were getting 20, 30 homes on the market all week. And,
really?
It was
our spring market started in
tough.
January. It's been nuts since end of December. Actually, it didn't really stop because the inventory has been so low, and we've got pent up buyers. And those prices that I was giving you, those are median, basically the metro wide and some counties around the metro. is what those are. But then specific areas are going to be much higher than that too. So it just kind of takes a lot of that average, the median prices as far as that goes, which I'm sure you're using too. But
yeah, and that's where I looked at. In fact, I have to have it right here. Yeah, so January 2020, our average, and this is kind of Rapid City-ish area. Our average price in January was $251,000, basically. By the end of December 2021, that went up to $323,000. That's a 28% average across the board. Now I know, you probably aren't going to see a 28% increase in your house at $1 million, but closer to the range is probably where it's at. So, we've seen those prices, and that inventory is a lot of the problems is with that low inventory. We have had the buyer demand, that one home I mentioned earlier where you had 15 showings on it. That means there's 15 people looking for a property under $300,000. So that's a lot of homes to have to get, final.
At that price point in our area, there's probably 30 and 15 offers right now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's crazy.
In 2019, our median sales price was $279, where it's $330 right now. So, I mean, it was up 12% just last year. And it's forecasted another I think 7 or so this year.
Yeah, it's just crazy. That's tough. Yeah. So DW's got a question for us. What do you think? Rising interest rates have any problems with housing slowing down at all?
In our market, I don't think it's going to affect it too much. And the reason being is the inventory is too low. So people say, oh, you're going to have a housing crash. Not in our area. We're not, because the inventory is too low. We've got too many pent up buyers. They need homes, and they've been saving, so that uptick in interest rate is not going to decide whether or not to be able to purchase a home, or shouldn't, hopefully. And again, overall, historically, even if it hits 4%, that's still historically good interest rate still. We've been pretty spoiled with our rates as of last, few years, historically really low rates. So I don't think it's going to hinder our market too much at all.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree that's because the same way, because we have no inventory, that the people that need to buy a house will buy a house. They might, if the interest rates go up a little bit, they might not be able to afford as much, but they're still going to buy. I don't know that that's going to cause there might be some people that might have to, depending if they're on the lower end of that, they might be out of the market, that kind of stuff. But in general, it's just going to be, I guess so I got to pay an extra little percentage. Oh, well, off we go.
Yeah, another 50
if you want to buy a house,
yep.
That's just most of it. Even when, remember the days when it was like, interest rates are going down, you all should buy a house now. Yeah. And that didn't do anything, right? Nobody necessarily cared, because they were in the time frame where they were in the time frame. They were going to buy a house when they could, not necessarily when everything was perfect. And that's not everybody, but across the board.
That's
so I'm not expecting.
Yeah, that's always what I always say too, Tristan, is there's no sense of time the market. The best time for you and your families to purchase a home is when it's right for you. If you sit in time, people would have been waiting since 2015, waiting for the market to go back down again. And if they did that, prices have increased a lot since then, or even 2018, so
I've had a number of people that were like, I was thinking about moving 5 years ago, and boy, I guess I should. And I'm like, yep. But everything works for the way it is.
No one can predict the market, but we only can do what we have for the data in front of us. This next year, it's going to keep going up as far as I'm concerned. So
100%. No mosquito thing was the biggest shockers, Rapid City. The altitude we are a little considerably higher, and then I really should have lotion. It's pretty dry as far as that's concerned. But we do have a lot of. I don't know how much you guys have for like cloud cover, but we get 260 some days of sun. So middle of the winter, we usually have a couple days of clouds, and then there's sun for 3 or 4 days, and then those guys.
It's kind of hit or miss. Both. We get plenty of clouds. Today was very dreary and cloudy, and then it snowed, and it was blowing snow. And towards the end of the day, and it wasn't a great day this afternoon. If you don't like cold, blowy, wet snow coming at you.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
Got a lake house that you bought in December.
Okay.
Got to sell it.
Yep.
You have to sell the house in town. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, a lake house.
Which area in central Minnesota, if you don't mind, DW? So let's see. Jumped in on buying a lake house in December. I have to sell my house Which house are you selling? The lake house or your current house? It sounds like Central Minnesota house he's selling because he bought a lake house. That's how I'm reading it.
Yep.
So, Central Minnesota is a little bit different market than the Twin Cities metro, but I think statewide it's low on inventory. So you shouldn't have a problem. Just make sure you find a good, realtor and they've got great marketing and professional photos. If they come in with their cell phone and say that's good enough, I would maybe find someone else. Even though the market is soft, things are flying, you still want good marketing because that might get you a little extra money, potential, more eyeballs. Lake House and Avon. Okay, yeah. In St. Cloud. So St. Cloud market should be great as well. So
I would think so as well. I was surprised. Last time I went to St. Cloud was a long time ago. So I drove just when we were in on the North Shore, we actually drove right through the middle of Minnesota to get to where my son was going to school in Madison, South Dakota. So I was actually surprised how big St. Cloud was. I thought it was going to be.
That's another one. That's one that I mentioned is one of the other larger communities in Minnesota is St. Cloud. Yep.
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks for the questions, JW. Cool. Yeah. So, time for favorites. So give me your top 3 favorite things about the state of Minnesota.
I kind of mentioned it, but the Boundary Waters, that's always true to my heart, that area, because I like to camp. I like to be outdoors. And it's just a place that you don't experience any other place. So if you are coming to Minnesota and you do like to camp, I would take some time to go for, maybe 2, 3, 4 days out in the lake country, pristine with no boats, just you and your paddle and the fire. And so I think that's fantastic. The summers, I think you can't beat the summers here. And one thing too, I also like is the fact that we've got a lot of sports. They may not be good, but we've got a fair amount of professional sports. Okay, so there's plenty to cheer on. And our Minnesota Vikings have let us down many times.
Many times, yes.
Yeah. Yes. But the Twins, similar fashion. We've won a few times, but we've got
the Wild and Timberwolves are looking good this year. Maybe.
Yeah. The Wild actually are looking, pretty good. So that's good. We've got that, and the Timberwolves are usually not so good, but they seem to be coming on a little bit at the end here.
Maybe,
and, yeah. Pro women's basketball links as well, and then the Loons for our soccer team. So that's a kind of a new addition to Minnesota, right by St. Paul. They built a whole nother stadium for MLS soccer. So
nice.
Another thing I like. Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think? New coach, new GM, kind of going to be a cool deal for us, or not so much?
Yeah, I think it's. I think it was time, for something new. We gave it a shot, and I did hear you say, Tristan, that for us. So is that assuming you are also a Vikings fan?
Oh, I'm a Minnesota boy. Oh yeah.
There you go. Like
purple and gold, man. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've tried to not like that, but it just doesn't work. It was like, no, Mom, that's where my heart is. Yeah.
So quick question for you. So other people in South Dakota, what teams do they like to? Or do they kind of go for Denver Broncos or?
Yeah. So since we have no sports team, of course, it's kind of a free for all. But so you have Eastern South Dakota is pretty Vikingsy. As you get over here, we're closer to Broncos Nation.
Yep.
But we have there are a lot of Vikings fans over here as well. But then we have, since we've got the Ellsworth Air Force Base nearby, that brings a lot of people from all over. So I've seen pretty much everybody around. So it doesn't matter. You'll find some. But I think your Broncos in this side of the state, especially, are probably winning out the war on that area. But
that's great. Hopefully, no Packers fans though, right, Tristan?
No, there's some Packer fans.
Of course, they're out there. Can't get rid of them. Yeah.
Well, it was funny though, because I looked at a house once on Packer Drive. Sure. And went downstairs, and it was Vikings everything. My Vikings memorabilia, everyone just laughed. That's probably that was the house I had to buy. And
kind of ironic.
God, we're gonna make it Vikings of it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. How about you? What's your favorite things? Oh, we got another question here.
Good time to ask a question here about Hayward.
Darin, what do you think about Hayward, Minnesota? Peace and quiet, easy life. So Hayward, I'm trying to think where that is. Are you familiar where exactly that is? I've never been. I wonder if that's south.
Actually, I know where that is. Well, that's that's Hayward, Wisconsin, I think.
Well, I'm thinking Hayward, Wisconsin, but they put Minnesota there. So, my guess it's peace and quiet, easy life. So if you're the rural Minnesota, not the metro. It's pretty much peace and quiet and easy life. It's slower living. Things slow down. And that's where I'm from. I'm from northern Minnesota, from a relatively small town, 9,000. And the towns around us were all 500 to 1,000 people. And it just slows down. Yeah. So it's going to be peace and quiet.
You get out of the cities. I think it's pretty laid back, pretty, pretty. Yeah. It's by Albert Lee. That's what I thought. What Rob says is by Albert Lee.
Albert Lee. Okay. Sure.
So Albert Lee is going to be pretty, pretty farmy, pretty light and easy.
Yep. Down on 35W there. Yep.
All right. So transitioning into South Dakota, I like about South Dakota. And so since I'm over here, the Black Hills is top of the list. And there's no really question about that. Gorgeous. Everybody that's coming into South Dakota even says, it's either, they're like, no, we'll go to the Black Hills because we got the trees. We've got the mountains, Terry Peak ski area. All the different things in the Black Hills. It was really nice during pandemic time when we couldn't go anywhere else. You just go hiking, and an hour and we were hiking in the hills somewhere. So that's definitely the number one reason I like it about South Dakota. Number two is the friendly people around. I mean, I can go walking down the bike path and say hi to people. I'm one of those people that will smile and say hi to you as you're walking down, and they'll say hi back. 80% of them will. And that's how that is. And then the third actually is the climate. I do enjoy the fact that there's breaks in the wintertime, that we don't have consistent clouds, that we have a lot of sun, and just makes it a lot easier to exist in our area, less humidity. That I remember waking up in Minnesota with wet sheets and putting on wet clothes because Mom wouldn't, run the air conditioning all night long. She opened the windows at night because she was frugal, So
Yeah, that's very true though. If you don't have that air conditioning to pull that humidity out, it feels damp. It will feel damp and kind of uncomfortable. So the people that don't have AC during the summer, I don't know how they do it, but I guess you just get used to it. And you run a fan. Most people, they put a box fan and then they have a fan blowing on you, and that helps kind of dry it out a little bit too if it's hot. So, but Minnesota nice too. You may have heard of that. That's mostly true. That's mostly true. There's always some bad apples or negative Nellies, maybe some transplants or something that don't know that they're supposed to be nice. But for the most part, it's pretty good going.
Yeah, and this is something that isn't even something that I kind of knew that, but I interviewed 4 or 5 of my clients that moved in from out of state last year, and that's all. They all said the same thing. Yeah, we walk down the street and people are nice. I've got kids and people are understanding when the young one is throwing a fuss, and everybody has said the same thing. Yeah. People are just nice and kind here, so it's good to know that that's not just something that I'm just preaching. That is coming from
one thing that's pretty common too is we get a lot of snow, and then sometimes people will go to their cabin if they have one, or just go on a little vacation and they're gone. And if your neighbor knows that you're gone and you have a snowstorm, it's customary for your neighbor to go over and blow their driveway. So by the time they get back, that they don't have 12 inches of snow to drive through. So that's that happens quite often as well. So part of that Minnesota nice. Yep.
Of course. All right. I'm guess anything else you want to kind of mention about Minnesota? Did we cover it all?
We covered a good portion. There's always stuff, of course, we could mention, but I'm sure the same with you. But I think over a good summary, I think, was had.
100%. Well, I've got Darin's contact information that will be in the comments below on this YouTube channel. So go ahead and check out that if you're in the market in the Minnesota area. Don't be afraid to give Darin a call. He can direct you to somewhere else in Minnesota if he's not in his area. And absolutely. Of course, can do the same thing here in South Dakota. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Darin, for coming along.
Thanks for having me, Tristan.
It's been 40 minutes we've been chatting, so it's been pretty good.
It went by quick. It didn't feel like that. So
awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.